Hello again, I'm back today because I was thinking about one comic, went on a mental complaining tangent, and here we are again. I'd like to thank my wonderful patrons for helping fund this kind of content. Now let's begin. Point 1. This is going to be a quick one, but as it inspired the episode, it needed to be commented on. Jason doesn't hurt kids. I say this because there was an outright comic set around the time of Bruce's death where for some warped reason, Jason tried to team up with Tim. He suggested using child soldiers in his plan and cozying up to the cops. Now this is an official comic, so I can't just say it's non-canon, but I really want to say that because it's ridiculous. When Jason came back as Red Hood, his one golden rule was instituted to protect children, and now you're expecting me to believe he's using child soldiers? That's not even getting into the fact that the author seemed to think Jason needed help when he brought Black Mask's empire to its knees on his lonesome, or that someone who grew out of a kid who disliked cops even back when he was a hero would want to cozy up with them. It's patently absurd and I hate it. I also find him suddenly trying to team up with Tim weird, but that's going to sound odd given point 2. Jason is not that obsessed with Tim Drake, or more, he shouldn't be. The whole idea that Jason has it out for Tim was started thanks to a singular comic issue where Jason, while he was meant to be crime lording it up in Gotham, apparently took a detour to Titan Tower. Disabled the other team members, then got into a shouting match with Tim, revealed a Robin costume and then beat him up for a bit while they argued before leaving. I already referenced how this made him look like a thuggish man-child, but what really gets to me is how off it just feels in general. Like yes, I know comics outside Under the Red Hood exist, and even that comic for all its quality is imperfect, but given it served as a Jason's return to the world of comics and was also meant to cap off with his death before DC realised he was popular, yeah, I think it's a good foundational basis for his characterization and capabilities over much of what came after. And interestingly, he doesn't mention Tim once. Heck, he doesn't even bring up Steph, who would at least be thematically appropriate and was still being discussed due to war crimes. Ugh, sorry Leslie. I don't even get why the comic existed in the first place. Jason showed up, threw a tantrum, beat up Tim, and no one was affected by it at all going forward, not really, and it basically never came up again. It didn't even seem to have any real effect on the Titans story either. It was just a thing that happened. One could argue that these issues did come up during Battle for the Cow, but Jason shot Damien there, tried to kill himself to spite Dick, and threatened to blow up civilians. It was awful. But back to the character establishing nature of Under the Red Hood, where not once does Jason bring up the other Robins. Well, except to make a very out-of-character crack about Dick dying and it all being very poetic and cinematic, but yeah, besides that, it never came up. His issues during Under the Red Hood were two separate but convergent thoughts. Fighting crime doesn't protect enough people, control it and human suffering goes down, and if you loved me, you would have broken your rules to kill the Joker, not because it was right or necessary, but because you cared. Now let me kill him and carry on my work, kill him yourself and I come back to you, or kill me because if you really love the Joker more than me, I don't want to be alive. And speaking of that, point 3, Jason doesn't want revenge on or to kill Bruce. Or more, I feel he shouldn't for the previously established reasons. This is one of the two things that I dislike from Red Hood Lost Days, along with that thing I mentioned about Talia in my Talia episode, but we're not going to discuss that. Ever. But long story short for the uninitiated, after coming back and finding out the Joker still lives and there's someone else running around as Robin, Jason engineers a weapons deal so he can put a bomb under the Batmobile and kill Bruce. He backs down from it and you can claim it's the lingering effects of the pit or a psychotic break, but it comes back in other media and comics like the Three Jokers, which is just ugh. But back to my point, the whole culmination of Under the Red Hood storyline was to quote the movie You and Me and Him, i.e. Jason, Joker and Bruce, two guns, and Jason willingly embracing the idea his own father might kill him to save his murderer, but hoping that Bruce would choose to place his love for his son over even his strict moral code. People can argue about whether it's fair for Jason to want that, let alone demand it, or even argue if it makes coherent sense as a route development for Jason given what he was like as Robin, but the entire core tragedy of it was that they love each other but both want something from the other that they can't give. Making Jason want to murder Bruce just doesn't work to me. Nor does Bruce slitting Jason's throat, but gosh, that's its own messy episode. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in. As always, if you'd like to help out with these videos, please feel free to swing by my Patreon or my Ko-fi. There you can do stuff like get early previews of my work or commission 3D models. Thanks for stopping by.